Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, also known as F Me Daddy Simulator, has been on fire ever since it began, and the latest episode has only reinforced that. Whoa, holy shit! I wish Daddy would burn me. From the direction to the animation and the head-popping action, the second season is a complete and total upgrade of the already stellar season that came before it. It takes the source material and amplifies it tenfold, crafting something so amazing that it starts to get suspicious just how consistently good it is, and that's even with the persistent constraints placed on the staff over at MAPPA. It's a feat only accomplished before by Attack on Titan Season 4, which is something to be applauded because it takes genuine effort to be this horny every single episode. I'm not gay, but compared to Season 1, where the adaptation focused much more heavily on the fights to the point of relegating the natural, hilarious comedy of the series to the tail end of the episodes, you get this overwhelming feeling from Season 2 that something is different, prettier, sleeker, gayer, and it's astoundingly the change in director for the series. He brings back the comedic elements tenfold and also swapped out the character designs from super detailed to simple yet detailed enough, allowing for greater emphasis in both the animation and backgrounds as a result, shown by Shibuya looking so goddamn pretty, as well as the lighting, compositing, background work, storyboards, and so much more that enable the anime to look as good as it does, even during its lowest points, with the best and most consistent it's ever been, in which it accurately portrayed director Go Shijono's vision, being the first 5 episodes, of which are also arguably the best in the entire franchise from a production standpoint, and not for the reason you think.
I'm not ashamed to suck his cock.
What was already a compelling manga is greatly enhanced for its new medium by the much sleeker art and colors that take the original work from kinda squiggly lines to, wow, why isn't he inside me yet? The anime also works as well as it does due to its intrinsic understanding of the source material at its deepest levels, and I want to know Maki and her deepest levels, and does the exact opposite of what the manga would, where Gege takes advantage of the medium of manga to verbally lambast you with painstaking details of the curse techniques and inner workings accompanied by narration of things occurring that he just couldn't draw. The anime takes advantage of its much more expressive medium to visually tell a story throughout every episode, opting to rely much less on narration, thus causing you to pick up on more things through the animation alone with each consecutive episode of this visual masterpiece. The sheer amount of visual storytelling is off the charts, and it's littered throughout every scene within this swath of episodes. The ramen shop with Toji, where the number he chose in the boat race represents a myriad of things, such as what happens later in the arc with how he pulls ahead by accomplishing his mission, but ultimately lets his hubris get the best of him and, like the boat, loses the race by getting a hollow purple to the chest, but he went out like a daddy. As well as shots in the OP that show Geto wandering the infinite paths from episode 1, detailing and foreshadowing how he's stuck in a rut when it comes to his feelings towards humanity. It's a style of storytelling that meshes perfectly with the way the characters are naturally written, as JJK was already fantastic at making lovable and fun characters who always give everyone a good laugh. But the newest season takes the character writing to the next level, not only with the narrative developments, but also through this style of presentation. Rather than dedicating several episodes getting to know newer characters, everything is perfectly showcased via the on-screen storytelling as it should be, with Riko's scene in the aquarium being a great example of this, wherein she's equated to a caged fish whose freedom is just out of reach, conveying her true feelings to us purely visually about how being the next vessel for Tengen has never allowed her to live a proper life. Her arc's handled very well for a character with such a short amount of time on screen, and it leads to the natural conclusion of giving Toji's gun a warm place to come. With Toji, it's able to showcase how dominating he is as a person through just his presence alone in several scenes, as well as other smaller character tics like his desire for money and his rustiness, the latter of which is illustrated perfectly in his fight with Gojo, which also works to subtly power scale him for both the people into that and to establish the threshold for the modern, younger characters to break through. Because I want to break through Maki. No! Fuck that Krakatoa motherfucker! The 5th and final episode of the arc follows more of the same, with Geto's mental state and his struggling choice of whether or not to be a racist.
I hate those monkeys.
Exemplified through scenes like this one where Gojo asks if he should kill the cultist, to which Geto says no, and Gojo moves on, but Geto continues to ramble to try and convince himself with the anime visually representing the two sides through the lighting all the while. The shots used throughout the episode showcase not only his deteriorating mental state and the exact moment he snaps, as illustrated by these candles here, but also the drift in Geto's relationship with Gojo, as Gojo became focused on his own strength to protect others, not realizing he wasn't there for Geto when it mattered the most. He attempts to rectify this by recruiting students and being there for them, raising them to be stronger rather than trying to be a one-man army, and it all ties perfectly into the 10 out of 10 OP that's been foreshadowing it the entire time, while being a great send-off to the arc in and of itself.
It's okay to be gay.
Most of the information I've detailed here is also expressed through dialogue, but it's the fact that it exists visually at all when it didn't need to, as it's not present in the manga, and the fact that you could watch these 5 episodes with no audio whatsoever and still figure most of that out, that makes it so goddamn good. And while it is the case that the later episodes don't represent the director's vision as perfectly as these do, simply due to not having enough time to produce the episodes, they're still well made in their own right, especially when considering just how little time was allotted to produce them, some of which were only finished a day before they aired, which is not the usual for seasonally airing anime. Probably. Season 1 suffered from similar constraints, resorting to using uglier CG backgrounds that didn't mesh with the characters, in addition to rather poor lighting techniques and the more detailed character models that made it much more difficult to animate with such little time, while Season 2 has Mekamaru's episode that suffered from unfortunate ghosting. What the fuck was happening? And in general, the Shibuya episodes are simply unable to reach the same level of visual storytelling that Hidden Inventory achieved, but god damn do we still get some of the best moments,
God, I wish I were that old,
and fights in anime history despite the setbacks, with Choso vs. Yuji and Toji vs. Squidfucker being a prime example of just what the staff could cook up on a limited schedule, and, of course, the latest episode, too. Imagine if he fingered you. While all of the episodes in the Shibuya arc suffer from a lack of time, as you can tell from the overuse of slow-mo shots, incomplete animation cuts that cleverly get around showing any impact, and an overuse of elements like narration, of which the anime had previously opted to adapt visually in Hidden Inventory, their inclusion, or lack thereof, is only the result of a lack of time. Yet they still deliver spectacularly in spite of it all, but it does hurt to think that all these moments could have been even better in a perfect world, which is kind of wild to think about. It could have been a cinematic masterpiece through and through, and it's absolutely bonkers that it's that good in its first arc, and even a majority of its second arc, to the point where any other issues stemming from the writing or pacing can just be completely overlooked because the anime is that fucking good at its job. And this is honestly one of the only times I've seen this happen, and I watch a shit ton of anime.
Because fictional characters make me erect.
Unfortunately, however, we don't live in a perfect world, and the directors and animators are frequently unable to produce the episodes to the level of quality they'd like because of MAPPA's horrible working conditions, which is sad because some of them even take to Twitter to talk down on themselves, so it's our job to let them know that despite the time constraints, this still looks fucking amazing and is gonna go down as one of the best anime of all time.